Welcome to a compilation of 3 chilling social media horror stories. Get ready to dive into the dark side of the digital world. A young woman was fascinated by TikTok. She loved the variety of content on the platform, from funny videos to educational clips to music trends. She spent hours each day scrolling through her feed, entertained and engaged. One evening, as the woman was scrolling through TikTok, she came across a video that made her blood run cold. It was a video of a dimly lit room, with eerie shadows flickering in the background. The room looked familiar, as if it resembled the woman's own bedroom. As the camera panned slowly, revealing a figure standing in the corner, the woman felt a chill run down her spine. The figure was obscured by darkness, but the woman could sense its malevolent presence. She quickly scrolled past the video, but the unsettling feeling lingered. Over the next few days, the woman began to notice subtle changes in the content of her TikTok feed. Words and phrases began to appear in the comments section that seemed to be directed specifically at her, mentioning private details that she had never shared online. The videos themselves also started to reflect the woman's deepest fears and anxieties. One day, she saw a video of herself walking home alone at night, followed by a shadowy figure. Another day, she saw a video of herself in her bedroom, screaming in terror. The woman tried to ignore the strange occurrences, but the relentless onslaught of disturbing content became increasingly difficult to bear. She tried to exit the app, but TikTok seemed to have taken on a life of its own. The videos became increasingly grotesque and nightmarish, leaving the woman trapped in a digital hellscape. One night, the woman was scrolling through her TikTok feed when she saw a video of herself lying in bed, asleep. The caption read, "I'm coming for you." The woman screamed and dropped her phone. She ran to her parents' room and woke them up, telling them what was happening. The woman's parents were skeptical at first, but when they saw the video, they realized that something was wrong. They called the police, but the police were unable to find any evidence of wrongdoing. TikTok support was also unable to help. The woman was trapped. She felt like she was being stalked and harassed by a malevolent entity on TikTok, and she didn't know what to do. She tried to avoid using the app, but the disturbing videos continued to appear in her dreams. The woman became increasingly isolated and withdrawn. She stopped going to school and seeing her friends. She was consumed by fear and paranoia. One day, the woman decided that she couldn't take it anymore. She packed her bags and left home, moving to a new city where she didn't know anyone. She hoped that by disappearing, she could break the connection with the entity on TikTok. The woman has been living in hiding ever since. She still checks her TikTok account occasionally, but she never sees anything but blank screens. She knows that the entity is still out there, somewhere, watching her. A young influencer, known for their stunning photography and captivating lifestyle posts on Instagram, had amassed a significant following. Their feed was a carefully curated reflection of their seemingly perfect life, filled with luxurious travels, fashionable outfits, and enviable experiences. However, as their follower count grew, they began to notice peculiar occurrences within their account. One day, while scrolling through their Instagram stories, they saw a brief video clip that they had no recollection of uploading. It depicted a shadowy figure lurking behind them in one of their recent travel photos. Horrified, they quickly deleted the story, assuming it was a technical glitch or a prank by a follower. But the unsettling occurrences continued. Cryptic messages would appear in the comments section of their posts, warning them of impending danger and urging them to stop sharing their life online. At first, they brushed them off as the work of trolls seeking attention. But as the messages grew increasingly menacing and specific, they began to feel uneasy. One comment mentioned a private detail about their life that they had never disclosed online. Another comment threatened to harm them if they didn't stop posting. The influencer was terrified, but they didn't know what to do. They didn't want to give in to the threats, but they were also afraid of what might happen if they didn't comply. They tried to report the abuse to Instagram, but the platform was unable to find any evidence of wrongdoing. They also tried to restrict their account's visibility, but the messages continued to appear. They felt trapped and helpless. The influencer's once vibrant Instagram feed began to reflect a darker narrative. They started posting photos of themselves from obscure angles and unsettling locations. The captions on their posts became increasingly cryptic and disturbing. It was as if they were trying to send a message to the person stalking them, letting them know that they were aware of their presence and that they weren't going to let them intimidate them. Their followers seemed oblivious to their distress. They continued to comment on their posts, admiring their photography and lifestyle. But the influencer knew that something was wrong. They felt like they were living a double life, their online persona masking the growing terror and paranoia that consumed them offline. One day, the influencer received a direct message from the stalker. The message contained a photo of their house, taken from a nearby rooftop. The caption read, "I'm watching you." The influencer was petrified. They knew that the stalker was serious. They didn't know what to do. They were afraid for their safety, and they were also afraid of what would happen to their career if they went public with their story. They decided to keep quiet about the stalking. They continued to post on Instagram, but they were always looking over their shoulder. They never felt safe. They knew that the stalker was still out there, watching their every move. The influencer's mental health deteriorated rapidly. They started having nightmares and anxiety attacks. They withdrew from their friends and family. They became obsessed with checking their Instagram account for new threats. One day, the influencer snapped. They couldn't take the stalking anymore. They posted a video on Instagram, revealing the truth about what they had been going through. They begged their followers to help them identify the stalker. The video went viral. Thousands of people shared it and offered their support. The influencer was finally starting to feel less alone. The police were able to identify the stalker using information provided by the influencer's followers. The stalker was arrested and charged with harassment. The influencer is still recovering from the trauma of the experience. But they are grateful to be alive and to have finally escaped the stalker's clutches. They are now using their platform to raise awareness about online stalking and to encourage others to speak out if they are being harassed. A young woman, browsing Facebook one evening, stumbled upon a disturbing post. It was a video of her own living room, taken from a strange angle. The caption read, "I see you." Frightened and confused, the young woman tried to investigate, but the post disappeared before she could learn more. She contacted Facebook support, but they claimed there was no record of the post ever existing. Over the next few days, the young woman began to notice other strange occurrences on her Facebook account. Creepy photos of her, taken without her knowledge, appeared in her feed, accompanied by cryptic messages. She received friend requests from strangers, and her friends started acting strangely towards her. The young woman tried to ignore the disturbing posts, but they became increasingly frequent and threatening. She felt like she was being watched, both online and offline. She started having nightmares and panic attacks. She withdrew from her friends and family, and her mental health began to deteriorate. One day, the young woman received a message from a mysterious account. The message read, "I know everything about you. I'm watching you. You can't escape me." The young woman was terrified. She didn't know who was stalking her or why, but she knew that she was in danger. She tried to report the abuse to Facebook, but they were unable to help her. The young woman felt trapped and alone. She was being hunted by a malevolent force, and she didn't know where to turn for help. One night, the young woman was home alone when she heard a noise outside her window. She looked up and saw a shadowy figure standing in the darkness, staring at her. The figure raised its hand and pointed a finger at her. The young woman screamed and ran to the bathroom, locking the door behind her. She stayed there for hours, terrified that the figure would break in. When she finally emerged from the bathroom, the figure was gone. But the young woman knew that it was only a matter of time before it returned. She decided that she couldn't live like this anymore. She packed her bags and left home, vowing to disappear and start a new life. She didn't know where she was going or what the future held, but she knew that she had to escape the social media nightmare that was consuming her. Thank you for watching our exploration of the terrifying side of social media. Stay mindful of the hidden dangers online, and be sure to subscribe for more spooky tales. Good night.